Guys, thank you for joining me now from Boots and Beards. I have invited two of our friends who we've been working with for a number of months now. I will let them introduce themselves shortly, and we can kind of have a conversation about what they do, about what's been happening with regards to in the US and around the world regarding the whole Black Lives Movement sort of thing, and see what their take is on this and how we can go forward as a community, as an organisation, as a nation to deal with some of the issues that's going on. I want to introduce Daniel, who's down below there, and Dee, who is actually wrong way, is this way here. I'll let you go forward first. Please introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and again, Dee, to yourself as well.
Well, thanks, Nav. It's fantastic to be here. I just want to say on my screen, you're in the top left and Dee's down below. So, yeah, it's a bit like the Brady Bunch. So yeah, I'm Dan, and I'm the national manager for SportEd. And I guess the really short version of what we do is we're a support organization. We believe in investing in community groups that are using sport to engage with young people in a range of different ways. So the sport will vary from group to group, and there are about 200 in Scotland that we work with. But the things that are the same is there's a real passion for what they're doing, and there's a real impact that they have on the people locally. And we invest in them in terms of upskilling, helping them with areas that are quite challenging for a typically small community organization, like governance, like fundraising, like marketing. So we play our part in trying to help groups do the amazing work that they're doing across the country.
Fab, okay. Dee, over to yourself. I think you said everything for you.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yes, so I'm Dee, work for SportEd. I'm a development officer for Scotland, and I'm based in Edinburgh. My job is essentially all around helping, advising and supporting our members to achieve long-term sustainability, as Dan was talking about, with our mentors, our volunteer business mentors. And that is my role essentially in ensuring that our members are fully supported with the help of our volunteer mentors.
Okay. Thank you for that. And people who don't know who I am, I'm Nav. I am one of the founders of a group called Boots and Beards. We were set up about 3-4 years ago. Started off as a family project, turned into a hill walking project with a sporting element. In a nutshell, it's just basically trying to help people from the BME community to kind of get out there, enjoy the outdoors, get fit, take on some sports, and just kind of lead a more kind of healthier and positive life sort of thing. So that's where I am. That's what I do voluntarily. It's all voluntarily based. And a few months ago, I was introduced to SportEd through Sport Scotland, and these guys have been really kind of helpful in guiding us through the journey that we're on just now, how to make the club Boots and Beards grow and function as a proper kind of as a proper community project. So thank you for you guys there. So let's kick off the conversation. It's regarding the BLM movement that's happening. What started off as the killing of a black man called George Floyd by the police. It kind of grew from there. It's now taking on issues regarding black people around the world. They're now giving them a voice to kind of bring to the forefront discrimination, equality, these sort of things. And a lot of organizations around the world, and a lot of companies have shown support to the BLM movement. We in Scotland, I've not received that many emails. Do you know, I actually received an email from SportEd. It was one of the email organizations I actually received an email from to say what your stand was with the BLM. And I was quite surprised. Of all the big organizations that I get emails from, you guys were at the forefront, and I was quite impressed by that. And that was quite early on. So guys, I mean, just want to kind of say what your take is as an organisation. What's your stand, and where do you see us going from there? So, Dan, do you want to go first?
Sure. I mean, obviously, it's an incredibly sad and frustrating and angering event that has put some of these inequalities under the spotlight, and very hard to see. But I think that it has hopefully shone a light on some of the inequalities and some of the systematic inequalities that that we experience across this country, across America, across the developed world. I'm from Southern Africa, across parts of Africa, and I think that's hugely, hugely important. You know, I think, and Dee's heard me say this before, I'm an optimist. I like to believe that actually a very small proportion of people are racist, but I still believe that a very large proportion of people who sit outside that bracket have it's either passed them by through a lack of awareness or understanding, or if we're being frank and honest, through a comfort with the status quo. And, you know, I think that hopefully this provides an opportunity for us to recognize that actually, if you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. And it's time for everyone who thinks that racism is wrong to actually look at how we can no longer be passive about that.
Yeah.
How we can actively challenge ourselves, the structure, the systems, the organizations, because, you know, this has been going on for so long that you know, if I'm right, and if most of us are not racist, we've walked into it. So we've all failed, is my belief. And this provides a chance for us to look at how we can now repair that and get some of that better and do some of that right.
Yeah, I think you guys in the industry of sports have got a great way of, or a great tool of bringing people together. It's not by the colour of skin, but it's through the sporting ability and how you can be that and show that competitiveness through sports, how you can be as part of a team through sports. So it's not a case of you're right or you're wrong. It's a case who's faster and who's better gets the base, the space in the team sort of thing. And I think I wouldn't say your job is a lot easier, but like I said, there are many hurdles or many kind of many hurdles for people to understand what racism actually is. I was listening to Hamza Yusuf yesterday, just by chance, somebody sent me a clip of somebody was having a chat with him, and he touched on the BLM movement, and he said, you know what, as Justice Minister, he said himself, he goes, there is racism in Scotland, I'll tell you that right now, and this is 2020, and we're starting to deal with this. And how do we deal with this? Is it through having dialogue that we are having just now? It's open dialogue. We need people to understand what maybe people haven't experienced racism, they can't understand it, or they choose that, or he's not being racist towards me, so I can ignore it, sort of thing. But these are something we need to deal with. Sorry, when you go.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, there are inequalities in sport, absolutely. But sport can also be a really powerful agent for change. You know, and one of my defining memories as a young person growing up was seeing Nelson Mandela sitting on the shoulders of Francois Pienaar and lifting the World Cup, and then seeing the impact that had on unifying for a while, and in many ways, and not enough, and also not in a number of ways, but unifying a culture that was quite divided at that time. So sport has real power. Sport isn't the end game. Sport is the hook. Sport is the tool. Sport is the catalyst. But it can do good things as well.
Yeah. As an organisation, I mean, you said you've got 200 groups in Scotland, and I know you're my local a kind of account manager for Scotland. How many would you say BME groups are there in Scotland that you support? Do you think there's need to be more? How are you getting on with them? Are they coming to you? Do you find there's a need for BME groups to get involved with sports? What are you finding in your kind of day job sort of thing? What is your kind of priority just now? Sorry, there's quite a few different questions. I gave you the D there. Are you still with me? Yeah, D.
For me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry, Nav. Yes, yeah, we've got. I mean, across the region, we've got a lot of BLM groups. I feel very blessed to work for SportEd in that they've reacted, as you've already acknowledged, very quickly to this movement, and we've reached out not just to our BAME groups. We've reached out across the board because I think it's important to get everyone's perspective, and there are people that are maybe ignorant to a lot of things. Certainly I'm learning lots, and SportEd have introduced support for our members immediately and for our staff, I have to say, which is for me personally, it's really helped me, and give me different insight to maybe a different perspective. And I think that's really, really important, as Dan was saying. Through the power of sport, I think we can make a huge difference. So we've already reached out. We're collecting data as much as we can from these groups across the board. I don't have numbers. I'm not sure if we've collated numbers as such, Dan, but I think it's important that we've started that piece of work. Good. And will continue, because SportEd are committed to that, as are all of the staff. So this is not something just topical that we intend to discuss for a few weeks, and this is an ongoing program.
Yeah, there's one thing I kind of found out recently when we were doing a business plan, trying to find stats for BME, any sort of stats on BME and health figures was quite tough, because there's not many stats out there which represent, or there hasn't been much research done on what the Scottish BME community is currently like just now, apart from going back to census, the last census in 2010, or I think before that. So they're not up to date just now, and it's very important for someone to maybe kind of carry out some stats and see where we are at just now, and then we can take action from there. But if you guys say that you guys have had to get the ball rolling, that's good to hear that. The other thing I was going to say was that the challenges coming up. Well, let's not do the challenges. The positive sides of what's happening with the BLM. How do you guys see it as SportEd? Do you see it as an opportunity to kind of grow? What do you see coming out of this over the next couple of months?
I would say there's probably two opportunities there for us as an organization doing what we do. I suppose the first one is one that I would say applies to any organization right now, which is a chance to actually look inwards, reflect, see where there are certainly things that you can do better. And what does that mean? Because for me, better doesn't mean failing a little bit better than how you were failing a year ago or 2 years ago. Yeah. Looking at some authentic change. So, we've got a task group together on this within the organization, looking inwards, challenging the makeup of our own trustees, looking at how we can change some of the criteria around how we recruit trustees in terms of their lived experience, looking at training and support and anti-racism training for our staff, just creating ways that we can look at how we could be better in this area and be more reflective of the communities that we work in and the communities that we serve. Being a membership organization, though, and an organization that supports groups, that creates a unique opportunity as well. So that's something we're looking at, is how can we become a collective voice for our membership if we can, or how can we provide a platform for our members who want to challenge and look at this. So the email that you referred to that you got right at the start went out to all members across SportEd across the UK, saying, right, where are you with this? Where do you stand? We'd love to hear from you. Yeah. This is our position, but we'd really like to hear your position. And then we are inviting groups to form focus groups. So, 5 at a time, and we'll run several of these focus groups to bring our members together, but members who particularly work within communities that have high BAME proportionality, or inclusion groups that work on breaking down some of the barriers in this area and look at challenging stigma and challenging the status quo, to come forward and talk to us about what services can we provide to amplify and help create a bridge for you guys to do that. Is there something about making the voice louder by bringing lots of groups together? How can we provide projects and mentoring support that's going to help with that? We do a lot of inclusion work already for women and girls in participating in sport, for young people with disabilities participating in sport. Is that the answer? Should we be doing more projects like that for supporting groups who currently don't have enough BAME representation across their organization? Can we help with that? So yeah, there's lots of different ways that we're looking at it, but I think what's really important to us is we don't have the answers, and we're not going to pretend that we do. What we do have, which is a really powerful asset, is access to thousands and thousands of people who are right at the heart of their communities.
Yeah.
So we're creating an opportunity for them to tell us what the answers are. And I think that's really important because, I think ours is an intention to do something to help change things. But it's also an intention to listen to what the right thing to do is to help with that.
I think the question comes to my mind, is this, and I'm not pointing it towards you, but is this typically like a reactionary thing where something's happened, let's deal with it, when about 4 or 5 months time, it'll fizzle away and basically back to normal again? Is this that scenario again? Is this just going to be one of those things we have to do something, and then, I mean, we're still in a pandemic, so come 3 or 4 months time, and there are many issues, there are many challenges that are now facing clubs up and down the country, cash flow being one of them, health and safety being the other one, and now they've got a race problem. So people are now having to, it's another issue that people are having to deal with. But how important is that issue just now? I know it's hot just now, and hence why we're talking about this, but is this topic going to get dealt with? Is it going to be dealt with seriousness as the other issues? I don't know, but I think that kind of comes down to the makeup of the hierarchy and how important the SportEd sees this. But again, I don't know what you can say about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good question. Definitely, I hope not. I hope it's not an event. I hope this is the start of something that has, long-term and ongoing implications. And I think, the word opportunity isn't a great word to use, but it is an opportunity for us to really look at making real change. What I can say is that is very much part of the conversation. There's a lot of talk around us being careful that we don't want to do something tokenistic. Yeah. We don't want to do something that is just going to happen while this is a hot topic or while the world's attention is on it. How can we create real and authentic and long-lasting change? And that's absolutely part of the discussions. And I said that earlier, is I don't want us to consider success failing a little bit better than we failed before. People talk about how diverse UK government is right now because it's the most diverse government we've ever had. The reality is it's still 83% white male.
Yeah.
So it's not diverse is the reality. So all that is something that's failed a little bit better than the failures before it. And I hope this is a chance for us to really look at what success means, what change means, and that's certainly our intention.
Deke, just coming on to you, what challenges do you see, if any, with your job as SportEd? We've talked about some of the success stories that might come out of the opportunities that might come through this, but challenging being one of them, is this going to fizzle away? do you see any challenges coming out of this that maybe as Boots and Beards, as a member of the BME community, can help you out with to make this not fizzle away and kind of make your job a little bit easier, sort of thing? I mean, what would you like? I mean, first of all, what challenges do you see coming out from this in trying to integrate or trying to implement the issues that we've got? And second of all, what resources don't you have just now, but people like groups like myself can help you out with? I don't know. Have you thought about that or?
Yeah, I mean, because we're talking about it, I would say almost daily. We've got a forum, as Dan was saying. So, and we have chats, as staff members. We're SLT. We're open to sort of speak to anyone, anytime we choose. So we're very, very blessed that way. I genuinely don't see challenges. I think we, as an organisation, have and will continue to approach our members and mentors to ask for their feedback as well and how they can support. And I would say the only challenge, the only concern of mine is that people feel confident enough and passionate enough, if that's the right word, to feedback, because to offer us constructive advice. If there's something they want or need that we can help them with, and I mean, I know with Boots and Beers, I think we could come to you. It would be wonderful to have feedback from you, to have involvement. We've already spoken about that. How we can approach you and how you can help us. I can only hope that other groups feel the same and are as, we are being very transparent about this, and I can only hope that we've got great relationships with all of our members, and I'm hoping we get that feedback so we can move forward and build on this, and make a difference, because it's a great opportunity. I don't know if that's the right word, but it is a great opportunity.
Yeah. Well, one of the reasons we kind of stuck our neck out, and one of the kind of goals of as an organisation for Boots and Beards is to kind of raise the flag and push the boundaries a little bit, even if it means us taking some of the headaches, take up some of our time. But someone's got to do the work and someone's got to get the ball rolling. So if we as an organisation can try and encourage others to come forward, to get in contact with you guys, and for example, a simple scenario was you contacted us like a few months ago. You gave us a platform at the Holyrood kind of initiative, and we were one of the BME groups talking on stage, sort of thing, and that was just to show that we're not scared to talk about these issues, and we are at the forefront, and you have given us the opportunity to talk about that. So that's one thing I would say. SportEd has been quite good in that sense. Racism will be around, and hopefully has been around. I think, I mean, I'm being very kind of pessimistic here, but unless everyone kind of gets together and gets their hands dirty and acknowledges it, I think racism will always be there, sort of thing. Unless we start educating people and again tackling racism head on, sort of thing, then I don't see us making any progress. Saying that, one of the things about racism, I would say, when it comes to sports, and you see this in movies all the time, where somebody from an athlete or somebody who's been basically victimized or who's been discriminated through sports or through something or through their job, he or she excels because he or she feels that I'm not being given this choice, and that person works twice as hard to show the world and to show the coach that I can do it and I will make it. And you always see this in motivational videos, that it's always that person who's been victimized, hasn't been given the opportunity, and you see this in sports as well, where they'll give it 100%. They might come from a poorer background, but they will excel in whatever they do. So racism, and I wouldn't say has its benefits, and maybe that's the wrong way of saying it, but it does push you to say, no, I am better than this. And that's what I've seen as well, and that's what I've seen, and that's what I push with my kids, that you know what, even though you might have 3 or 4 A's, or you might be better at this, remember you've still got a different colour of skin, and you live in a country where you will be looked down upon, which is why you have to do extra curricular activities to be better than that person. So already we're kind of on the back foot I mean, you need to work twice as hard. And it's a shame that I'm having to teach my kids that. But again, if they don't learn now, they'll learn the hard way, where they'll get told, I'm sorry, we've got no space for you. But I'd rather prepare them for that knockback. It's a shame to say that, but I am preparing my kids that one day you might not get opportunity, but you need to work twice as hard as the next person to get that opportunity. But listen, guys, is there any message you can give out to people as an organisation, people who listen to this, people who are wanting to maybe set up a club, people who are looking to see how they can get involved with SportEd? I know you've got a great mentorship program as well. It'll be good to see some diverse people on the mentor program. That's something that comes to my mind. People who have got expertise. There are many people in the BME community who have got time, who basically, like Boots and Beers, want to get the ball rolling. So you might get a lot of people who might want to see what does it mean to become a mentor, and how can I help people. So again, is there any message would you call pass on to the guys? Dan, anything you want to say before we finish off?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, before I do, that's a very good point around our mentoring numbers. We've got about 50 mentors, and being very open and transparent, that representation is not diverse. And that's something we need to look at is how are we recruiting, where are we recruiting, and we certainly need to do better in that area. My message would be, I guess, that the whole reason SportEd exists is to try and break down barriers. Those could be capacity barriers, those could be sustainability barriers, those could be inclusion barriers, and I think this is such an important topic. And like I say, the best thing that's come out of all of this, at least, is there are conversations being had. So my message would be, let's break down barriers together. If you're setting up a group, if you're working with young people from BAME communities, if you're not and you want to, then we can help, because that's what we can do is we try and help in these areas. And if you are passionate about volunteering, or you're passionate about sport, or you'd like to get involved in helping groups that are on this journey, then get in touch as well, and let's work on it together. But like I said earlier, we don't have the answers, and we're well aware of it, but we are wanting to work together on trying to help find them and trying to help make some of the changes that you're talking about now.
Okay. Dee, any last kind of comments you want to finish off with?
It's just to mirror what Dan has just said, basically. Yes, we are a sporting organisation, SportEd, but I think that we are about the community as well. So taking into account sort of the inclusion issues we've already discussed, just give us a ring if you're interested in being involved with your community, whether that's as a member group or as a mentor. Just hopefully you can share our contact details, get in touch, and let's have a conversation to make a difference.
Fantastic. Listen, guys, we've done it within the time allocated, which was about 25 minutes. So thanks a lot. I think we got the message across. I want to thank you both for your time. I will once we basically finish this video off, we'll have your details at the end of the compilation. So people can get in contact with you guys. We'll have the phone numbers and the logos and stuff, and the website addresses. We'll have all that at the end. But yeah, listen. I just want to say, listen, Sport is a great organisation. They've been very helpful to Boots and Beers so far. Anyone who's basically looking to get involved, wants to help their own community get fitter, healthier, or have some success, or some some experiences they want to share and becoming a mentor, and they think they can become a mentor and help other organisations grow, then please do get in contact with them. I am now from Boots and Beers, and we'll be looking forward to speaking to you soon on the next kind of video. Thanks a lot. All the best.